Surprise! Hey, what's good, fam? It's Tuesdays with Tawana. It's been a while, it's been a minute. I am Dr. Tad, your host and your curator for this vodcast that is later turned into a podcast, building community one episode, one womanist episode at a time. And I have missed you so much that I decided to just come on and say hello and to check in. I miss community. I miss these moments. I miss you. I miss you so much. We haven't gathered in 2024, so welcome to 2024, where we are embarking on a new year, new opportunities, new challenges, new learnings, new environments, new decisions, new co-creations, just the newness of it all. 2024. We're off to a rough start. And hopefully we will come together so that this rough start does not continue throughout our time together on this year. So if you are joining for the first time, welcome. Welcome to Tuesdays with Tawana, where we just chop it up. You can, if you're watching live, you can pop things into the chat. I will insert your voice into this narrative. If you are listening to this podcast later, you can always leave comments and feedback as you are watching or listening, to the podcast. Feel free to watch the replay on my page at Dr. Tad, at the Dr. Tad on Facebook, or my Dr. Tad page on Facebook as well. Hey, Tammy, yo, what's up? Yes, I am back. I am back for today. Still working on some formatting opportunities and some enhancements. Have not had a chance to do that because I did intentionally rest during the holiday season and took care of some personal business and just took care of me. A lot going on. But for today, just wanted to check in with my beloved community because there is a lot going on in our worlds, in our world individually and collectively, nationally, globally. It is just a lot going on, and I wanted to come on and co-create beautiful space with you so we can figure this out. We can figure this out together. Yes, rest is everything. I got my Trisha Hersey rest deck right here next to me. I was using it earlier. 50 practices to resist grind culture. And that is who I embody. That is what I do. It may seem as if I am very busy on Facebook, but Facebook doesn't tell the full story. And I can't wait until we learn that fact, that social media does not tell the full stories. Social media only gives snips of what I want to offer you. So if I only want to offer you all the glitz and the glamour, I will do that. And I choose not to offer the lows and the struggle. You won't see it and you won't know it, and you'll make assumptions based on what you see, but what you see is only in part, it's not in fullness. So, take it with a grain of salt. Take what works for you, take what gives you life, take what gives you good vibes and good energy, and leave the other stuff alone. Let it go. Let all of that negativity and all of that judgment go. So, speaking of which, of course, across the ticker, I always have information about domestic violence support and for mental wellness support. So always refer to that if you fall into either one of those experiences, and or if you know of someone, please, please, please take advantage of the resources that we have before you. Tammy said, I Have Rest is Resistance by Trisha Hersey. Listening to it this week. It will bless your life, Tammy. I have read it and I often go back to it because I am a hard a physical book person, because I love to write notes, I love to underline, and then I love to go back to it. And even in rereading a book, highlighting where I am is different from where I was, and so I love to just watch that evolution. Yeah, I just love to watch that evolution. Tammy also says social media is not a real place. For sure. Facts. It's not a real place. It is a place where we create what this facade of community, and then we are silenced by what we say. I might even be blocked because of my headgear in support of Palestine. Freedom of speech just does not exist. Non-judgment doesn't exist. True relationships don't exist. Like, you're my friend on Facebook. Friends are a bit deeper than what our social media is offering us. There are other times when we are offered examples of situations and circumstances that are just not for our good and don't work out on our behalf. Whether it's all of this weight loss stuff that's going on, using medication that is supposed to be for diabetics, no judgment, just facts. And then having a shortage of those who need the medication, who can't afford it, which we should have some sort of better medical plan so that that medicine will go toward life-saving efforts first before we get into the physical, material of how we're supposed to look in these here United States. Yeah. So we deal with, medical access or lack thereof. We deal with, disparities in surviving from different diagnoses. We have food deserts. We have impoverished communities that are intentionally kept impoverished. We have our houseless who are out there, and we are just moving them to nowhere. We've been our rights to our bodies have been taken away, and our leadership has made a decision to send money to fund a war, a unnecessary, heinous war, but yet will not have the courage to codify Roe versus Wade and the right to our bodies. Tammy said the world required big pharma not running the government. that would require big pharma not running the government. Yeah, I was speaking at an event. I've been traveling to the West Coast quite often to tell my story, and to talk to beloveds who are behind the scenes of big pharma, right? And even they are victims to what regulations happen in our government that then causes this adverse reaction or response from big pharma. So big pharma, it costs money to make the drugs that they make. It costs money to do research. It costs. I get that. And I have no problem with the cost because I am still here because of the medication has evolved so much that I am able to survive and thrive and live and do the things that I do while I am in active treatment every 3 weeks. I appreciate the research. I appreciate the meds. But then I go back to the government because if the government would pay big pharma, then I would not have to be stuck with bills of $1,000, $1,500 when I am done with my treatment until I hit my maximum individual contribute. It is just a mess. And if the government would just pay for that, then maybe less people would die from lack of access. But let's even go a step before that. Before we even get to big pharma and having the choice to make a choice to take medicines that may work adversely in other areas while killing the disease that is trying to plague your body, let's talk about food ignorance and the intentionality of foods that are constantly shoved in our communities and in our spaces, and as if we don't have a choice, or when healthy food is available, it is so expensive and it requires someone not only to spend more money, but to spend more time in acquiring all of those healthy foods because they actually have a short lifespan. It's an expiration date. It's not like canned food that is preserved. You buy it and it's good until 2026. So that's another problem, another lack of access, another intentional way to erase us, to disregard us, to dehumanize us, to then kill us with the foods that they saturate in our communities. So in my community, there are a lot of local restaurants and stores and places where you can get healthy food, and then you have to drive a pretty decent distance to get to the fast food. But where's the fast food? It's in those impoverished areas, because that's what the design is. They want that out there so that those people are consuming these foods that then cause them to fall ill, that then cause them not to be able to afford or not have access to because of the color of their skin or because of their financial situation. And then we end up dying or at the top of the list of those who die and succumb to the challenges of these various diseases. So why do I mention all of this in this pop-up? We are in an election year that is do or die, make or break. This is a time where we... Molly, you in danger, girl. Yeah, that's the best line from the movie Ghost. We in danger. And I wish I had the answers. I wish I can come on this pop-up and just talk about this 10-point plan that the Black Panthers had, that other grassroots Black led organizations had, and I wish we would follow it. We could follow Dr. Melva Sampson talked about the principles of Kwanzaa that's only uplifted during Kwanzaa, but they're actually principles that we can live by every single day: cooperative economics, unity, self-determination. All of those things can happen every day, and if we would just do them, maybe, just maybe, we'll be able to make a difference in our lives and not have to succumb to the powers that be, that want power over and not power with, that want to erase our history, that want to remove our books off the shelves because of their own guilt and shame of what they have caused and the harm they have caused to our BIPOC beloveds, and they want their power and control. They are fearful that they are going to lose power and control if they actually say that slavery existed, if they actually say that the Civil War was a result of fighting. One side wanted slavery, one side didn't want slavery. We are at a point where we had our president attending a sacred space where 9 people were murdered due to racism and said nothing. Said absolutely nothing. We had a vice president on a television show on The View, y'all know I love The View, who said nothing, who talked in circles, who did not talk directly about racism, who did not talk directly about what is happening in our communities, who danced around subjects. And it was so deplorable and absolutely disgusting to be at a table of women who are unapologetic and powerful in their own stance and in their own right, to have our VP come on and just dance. Frustrating. Tammy said, food is the best medicine. It's unfortunate how unhealthy our food is and how expensive good food is. South Atlanta is a giant food desert. It's unbelievable, and it's intentional. It is intentional. So when do we come together to realize that we have enough power and we have enough resources to build housing, to build communal spaces, to build supermarkets, to own and operate these things, and not have to succumb to what white people and white power and white thought and white supremacy wants to posit into our lives and into our communities? Tammy also says those who control the present control the past, and those who control the past control the future, by George Orwell. So if you control the past and you erase it, you are under this notion that you can control the future. And unfortunately, you are up against a resilient group of BIPOC beloveds who have been through the worst of the worst, who must come together and who must dismantle these systems that were not designed for us to begin with, and to realize our own power, and to realize that no, we're not going to all just get along and agree on everything, but the end game is the end game, and the end game is liberation. The end game is access. The end game is healing. The end game is community. The end game is for us to come together and build systems that are going to speak life and not death. It is called health care for a reason. It is called, the having opportunity and access to medical systems and beloveds that are supposed to help you medically and holistically. So it's not only just the drugs that they give you. Are we complementing that with a diet? And not only that, but doing so in a way that's non-judgmental, because if you have lived a life of 50 something, 60 years, and all you knew was fast food, where is the healthy food education? It's not happening in our schools, because the lunch that they offered are hot dogs and hamburgers, and they don't even have healthy food. It took my son going to a white school, a white private school, where they had fresh lunches. They had lunches you could choose from. They actually and welcomed my son with locks in his hair versus the black school that said that he could not have locks, that he had to dress a certain way and conform to the white societal ills of this nation. When do we stop conforming to? There's another young man. I was scrolling on TikTok, on Instagram, and then I had to stop because it wasn't my social media time. I have social media time now. So if I don't have notifications, if I don't respond to you immediately, it's because I don't have notifications. But I digressed. There is a young man who I believe was either suspended or reprimanded or something because he had his hair in locks. And the response or the reason was because we must conform. Conform to what? Conform to a standard that is killing us, mind, body, and soul, and where we can't even express ourselves through our hair, through our headgear, through our beliefs, through our stance, through how we show up in the world. What is happening? You know what's happening? People who are in power right now, who the 1%, those who are narcissistic, those who are who engage in power over versus power with, have a plan. This has been planned out for years for them to get to this point, to turn this nation from a democracy into a dictatorship. We have seen it happen time and time again with our allies and following their lead, and then now trying to impart that here in the United States. Tammy said, if you have an iPhone, you can set social media timers. Mine is 15 minutes a day. Yes. That's what I need to do. And I do have an iPhone, of course. Apple does not pay me. I shouldn't be telling this to y'all because they need to pay me. But anyway, hello, Mother Carolyn. Glad to see you. Pammy is in the building. Glad to see you. My dear friend Robert is in the building. Good to see you. Yes, I popped up on today. Mother Carolyn says the demand to conform is another form of slavery. So, as we wind down a bit on this quick pop-up, because there's so much going on and clearly I needed to release, with all that is going on, when do we then define who we are for ourselves so that we are not crunched into other people's fantasies and eaten alive? Thank you, Audre Lorde. When do we look to ourselves for our own liberation? Thank you, womanism. Thank you, Emily Towns. Thank you, the late Reverend Dr. Katie Geneva Cannon, who encouraged us to do the work that our souls must have. But in order for us to do the work our souls must have, we need to know, what does our souls need? What do our souls need? What will feed us? We have to know ourselves and love ourselves unconditionally in order to show up in this space unapologetically. If we have self-doubt and low self-esteem and we don't know which way to go, then it invites confusion, it invites doubt, it invites conformity. So how do we then love ourselves more than enough to then love somebody else more than enough and build community so that we too can build a plan to dismantle the systems that are here? Yes, these systems have been in place for a very long time, and we cannot give up hope. We shall not give up hope. We have made great strides. We are resilient. We are resistors. We are divine, and we have lived through some very heinous times, from slavery and beyond, and even to this current day with the modern day lynching of our Black beloveds, for what? Bouncing a basketball? For dancing at the gas station? For what? Because of the color of our skin? We have the power to shift this, because I don't use the word minority, because we are no way, shape, or form a minority. We are major. We do major things. We create, this country was built because of our major divine prowess. We are still here because of our major resilience and resistance. We are here because we are not going to conform to grind culture that's going to cause hypertension and cause other high cholesterol and diseases. We are going to love ourselves because we cannot wait for somebody else to love us and to show us how to love ourselves, because then we will end up like those who look like me but damn sure don't sound like me when they're conforming to leftists, to I'm trying to behave on this so that I don't go to Facebook jail and be cut off, because as I said, freedom of speech is just not a thing on social media. But white supremacy doesn't only come from people that look white or identify with whiteness. Let me just say that. Tammy says, nothing moves without us. We are absolutely major. So let us remove minority out of our vocabulary. We are beloveds of color. I even shirk at that because they love lumping us into one category. I appreciate BIPOC, and I also struggle with that because, again, it is being named by others. We name ourselves. We name who we are and how we show up in this world. So even using the term First Nation Indigenous, there are some people that still honor and identify as Native American. There are still some who show up and identify and unapologetically show up as Indigenous Indians. So when we are now doing the same thing that was done to us, and we're naming other people without asking the question, how do you identify? It's the same with pronouns. What is wrong with asking, what is your name? How may I refer to you? She, he, they, none of the above. Call me by my name. My name is Tawana Angela Davis. Say it fully. Say it right. That is mine. I love Ebony Janice because she introduces herself every time. Don't call me Ebony. Don't call me E. Don't call me EJ. My name is Ebony Janice, and that's how you should address me. When do we get to the point where we say not only our name, but who we are, how we show up in this world, what we demand, what we expect, what we want from our return on our investment? When do we get reparations? When do we get access to health care? When do we get access to top doctors and top-notch hospitals? When do we have supermarkets at every turn instead of liquor stores? When do we have more healthy foods that are advertised on TVs and television shows that we watch, because the Nielsen ratings, y'all track everything that we do? So when are we going to have, if you would just add this much green food into your life, you can combat cancer, you can combat hypertension, you can combat diabetes. If you do some juicing and understanding what juicing is, it is not just fruit. It is vegetables. It's where you get your protein, is where you get your vitamin C, where you get your B12, where you get your K, everything from A through Z. So it's having communal conversations about this and not waiting for somebody else to define it for us, to impart it and posit it in our lives, because they don't give a shit about us. They don't care. They are individualistic, they are power hoarders, and they only care about what happens to them and them only and their families, and to make sure that they have the money and the resources and the power. It's egotistical, it is narcissistic, it is not communal, it is not who we are as beloveds of color, it is not what we stand for, and yet we are called to conform to this nonsense, to this dehumanization, and it must stop. And here we are in a pivotal election year. What are we going to do? Are we going to vote for the lesser of two evils, or are we going to gather together and insert a third party into this narrative? Are we going to show up at the legislative sessions and start talking about the bills and stuff that are being passed in these states by governors? What we can do so much. And there's enough of us to do the work, to face the adversity, and to shift the narrative. Mother Carolyn says they don't care, so let us care about ourselves and each other. What a wonderful way to end this podcast. We must change the game. We must make a difference now. It is 2024 and we are facing one of the most trying times if we allow certain people to become president of the United States. With that, this is Dr. Tad with Tuesdays with Tawana. On Tuesdays at 2 o'clock. I will come back weekly, eventually, with a different platform, or enhanced platform, where we can engage, where we can talk about all the things. Maybe next week, if I come next week, it depends. We'll talk about letting the cat out the bag. And I'll leave that there. Thank you for joining. Thank you for hopping on this pop-up. I didn't tell anyone I was popping on today. And here I am. Here I am representing much love to my siblings in Palestine, in Tigray, in Congo, in Sudan, in the Ukraine, and all other areas that have been colonized and continue to experience genocide. Yeah. Thank you for joining. I love y'all. I'm Dr. Tad with Tuesdays with Tawana, and I'm out. I love y'all. Later.